A powerful executive framed the wrong man before sunrise. A widowed janitor became the easiest target because nobody believed a man pushing a mop could ever tell the truth. Instead of shouting, fighting, or begging for mercy, Marcus Johnson quietly turned away, protected someone else's dignity, and walked back to work without saying a word. What nobody inside that billion-dollar fashion empire realized was that his silent act of integrity would become the one mistake that would expose years of corruption, destroy the careers of people who thought they were untouchable, and completely change his daughter's future forever. Before we go any further, we'd love for you to hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world to us and it helps us bring you even more powerful stories. Now, let's begin. Marcus Johnson was 34 years old, but most mornings he looked closer to 50. Grief had a way of aging a person long before wrinkles ever appeared. Every night, while the city slept, Marcus pushed a janitor's cart through the polished hallways of Langford Couture, one of the biggest fashion companies in the country. During the day, he became something much more important. He became a father. His 8-year-old daughter, Zoe, never complained, even though she knew life wasn't easy. "Daddy," she asked one morning as he poured the last bit of cereal into her bowl, pretending he wasn't hungry himself, "are you eating later?" Marcus forced a smile. "I already ate at work." It was another lie. He hadn't eaten since yesterday afternoon. He simply wanted his daughter to have enough. Zoe looked at him with innocent eyes. "You always eat at work." "That's because they have lots of food there." "Can I see it someday?" Marcus chuckled softly. Maybe one day. He hated lying to her. The truth was that nobody offered the janitors free meals. Every dollar mattered. Rent was overdue. The electricity bill sat unopened on the kitchen counter. Medical bills from his late wife's final hospital stay filled an entire drawer that he could no longer bear to open. His wife, Elena, had died 4 years earlier after a sudden illness that drained every penny they had ever saved. Marcus had once dreamed of becoming an engineer. He had completed nearly 3 years of university before life interrupted his plans forever. When Elena became sick, school stopped. Work became everything. Dreams became luxuries. After dropping Zoe off at his sister's apartment before heading to another exhausting shift, Marcus quietly slipped an eviction notice into his backpack so his daughter wouldn't accidentally see it. He wasn't hiding the truth because he was ashamed. He was hiding it because children deserved to sleep without worrying about tomorrow. That evening, Langford Couture buzzed with unusual energy. Employees rushed through hallways carrying expensive gowns, jewelry cases, flower arrangements, and event schedules. The company's annual charity gala was only hours away. Everyone wanted everything perfect. Marcus kept his head down as he mopped another marble hallway. He had learned something important during years of cleaning offices. Around 8 o'clock, Marcus's supervisor approached him with an irritated expression. "Yes, sir. The executive floor needs cleaning." Marcus blinked. "The executive floor? I usually don't go up there." "Well, tonight you do. Everyone's at the gala getting ready. Finish it before midnight." "Understood." The executive floor looked like another world. The carpets were thicker. The artwork probably cost more than Marcus earned in 10 years. Every office looked larger than his apartment. He quietly pushed his cart from one office to another until he reached the largest office at the end of the hallway. The CEO's office. Normally it stayed locked. Tonight the door was slightly open. Marcus knocked gently. "Housekeeping." Silence. He waited another moment. "Hello." Still nothing. An expensive suit jacket rested on the floor with fresh coffee stains across it. She had obviously been changing after spilling coffee before leaving for the charity gala. Marcus immediately turned his entire body toward the wall. "Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. I didn't know anyone was here." His eyes stayed fixed on the floor. Without even taking another glance, he reached backward for the doorknob. "I'm leaving right now." Victoria froze. Most people in the building treated every mistake as an opportunity. Someone else might have stared. Someone might have secretly taken pictures. Someone might have spread gossip before sunrise. Marcus did none of those things. Instead, he gently pulled the door shut without slamming it. "I'm terribly sorry, ma'am." The door clicked closed. Inside the office, Victoria stood completely still. She waited several seconds before rushing toward the door and opening it. The hallway was already empty. Marcus had disappeared. She looked both directions. Nothing. Only the distant squeak of a janitor's cart echoed through the hallway. Victoria slowly closed the door again. That's unusual. She had spent years surrounded by ambitious executives willing to exploit any weakness for personal gain. Yet the one man with every opportunity to embarrass her had chosen dignity instead. Meanwhile, Marcus leaned against the wall several offices away, his heart pounding. "What have I done?" he whispered to himself. "No, it wasn't my fault." He replayed the moment over and over. Maybe he should have knocked louder. Maybe he should have waited longer. Maybe he should report the accident immediately. But report it to whom? Would anyone believe him? Eventually he finished cleaning the floor as quietly as possible before heading home shortly after midnight. The next morning began like every other. Except it didn't. The moment Marcus entered the maintenance office, conversation stopped. Several co-workers exchanged nervous glances. One whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear. "That's him." Marcus frowned. "What happened?" Another janitor looked uncomfortable. "Didn't you hear?" "Hear what?" "Somebody got into the CEO's private office last night." Marcus felt his stomach twist. "What?" "They're saying security is investigating." Another employee leaned closer. "They think whoever went inside violated company policy." Marcus's heartbeat accelerated. He tried to remain calm. I was assigned to clean that floor." The room became silent. Every pair of eyes turned toward him. "You were?" Marcus nodded slowly. "My supervisor sent me." One coworker lowered his voice. "You better hope the cameras prove it." Marcus suddenly felt cold. He had done absolutely nothing wrong. Yet somehow he already felt guilty. Minutes later his supervisor appeared. "Marcus." "Yes." "Human Resources wants to see you." His legs suddenly felt heavy. The walk to the HR office seemed longer than ever before. Every step echoed inside his mind. If he lost this job, rent would never be paid. Zoe would lose everything. When he entered the conference room, 2 HR representatives waited beside the company's head of security. One motioned toward a chair. "Please sit." Marcus obeyed quietly. The security director folded his hands. "You were on the executive floor around 8:22 last night." "Yes." The door was open. "I knocked twice." No one answered. "I believed the office was empty. When I opened the door, I realized Ms. Langford was inside changing." "What happened then?" "I apologized immediately. I turned away. I left." "You looked at her?" Marcus answered honestly. "I saw enough to realize she wasn't dressed. After that I looked at the floor." "You didn't use your phone?" "No." "You didn't speak to anyone afterward?" "No." "You didn't tell anyone what happened?" "No." "Why not?" Marcus looked genuinely confused. "Because it wasn't anyone else's business." The room fell silent again. One HR representative scribbled notes. The security director stared carefully at Marcus's face, searching for signs of dishonesty. Instead he saw exhaustion, fear, and quiet sincerity. "We'll verify your statement." Marcus nodded. "Am I fired?" "No decision has been made." He thanked them politely before leaving. Outside the room he leaned against the wall and closed his eyes. "Please," he whispered under his breath. "Just let me keep my job. Zoe needs me more than anything." At that exact moment, several floors above, Victoria Langford sat alone in the security control room. Rows of monitors displayed footage from every hallway in the building. The security manager paused the recording outside her office. "There," he said. "That's the employee." Victoria watched carefully. Marcus approached her office. He knocked. Waited. Knocked again. Then opened the door. The recording showed only the hallway. A second later, Marcus suddenly stepped backward so quickly he nearly stumbled. His head turned sharply toward the opposite wall. Even on silent video, his embarrassment was obvious. He never reached into his pocket. He never removed his phone. Instead, he stretched one arm behind him, carefully pulled the door almost completely closed to shield the office from the hallway, lowered his head, said something that looked like an apology, and walked away without once looking back. Victoria asked quietly, "Can you zoom in?" The technician enlarged the footage. She watched it again. And again. Then once more. Each replay confirmed the same remarkable truth. The only man in the building who had seen her at her most vulnerable had behaved with more respect than many executives she had trusted for years. Victoria remained silent as the security footage ended. No one in the room spoke. The security manager finally cleared his throat. "Would you like us to continue disciplinary action against the employee?" Victoria slowly turned toward him. "What disciplinary action?" "He entered your office. I left my door open. He still crossed the doorway. He knocked twice." The manager hesitated. "Yes, but company policy. My office wasn't secured. My mistake created the situation." The room became uncomfortable. Victoria folded her arms. "Tell me something. If your daughter accidentally walked into the wrong room because someone left the door open, would you punish her for it?" The manager lowered his eyes. "No." "Then why would I punish a man who apologized before he even understood what had happened?" No one answered. Victoria stood. "I'll handle this personally." Meanwhile, Marcus could barely concentrate on his work. Every vibration of his phone made his heart race. Every time someone called his name, he feared it would be his last shift. Late that afternoon, his sister called. "Marcus." "Hey, Sarah. You sound tired." "I am." "Everything okay?" He hesitated. "Not really." "What happened?" There was silence. "Oh no. It wasn't even my fault." "What happened?" Marcus explained everything exactly as it had happened. When he finished, Sarah sighed. "You still apologized?" "Of course." "You still looked away." "What else was I supposed to do?" She smiled softly through the phone. "That's why Elena always said you were the most decent man she'd ever met." Marcus looked down. "I miss her every day." "I know. But she'd be proud of you." He closed his eyes. "I just don't know how I'm going to take care of Zoe if this job disappears." "You'll figure something out." "That's different." "How?" "Because now you're carrying fear instead of hope." Marcus didn't answer. Marcus counted every dollar before reaching the cashier. Milk. Bread. Eggs. Peanut butter. He quietly returned a pack of chicken to the refrigerator. It simply cost too much. Zoe noticed. "Daddy." "Yes." "You forgot the chicken." Marcus forced another smile. "We're trying something different tonight." She looked at him for a long moment. Then she quietly reached for a bag of candy she had been holding. "I don't need this." "You can put it back." Marcus felt his chest tighten. "You don't have to." "I want to." She placed it back on the shelf. "I like peanut butter better anyway." He knew she was pretending. Children understood far more than adults believed. That night, after Zoe fell asleep, Marcus opened another eviction notice. Final warning. Payment required immediately. He buried his face in his hands. "I don't know how much longer I can do this." Across town, Victoria sat alone in her penthouse, unable to stop thinking about the janitor. She had spent years reading people. Most executives smiled while calculating personal advantage. Most investors spoke about generosity while negotiating bigger profits. But Marcus. He had expected nothing. He had protected her reputation without anyone asking him to. She opened the personnel database. Marcus Johnson. Age, 34. Position, night janitor. Employment record, excellent. Disciplinary actions, none. Attendance, nearly perfect. She frowned. That's unusual. Curious, she requested additional files. Within an hour, her assistant entered. You wanted everything we have on Marcus Johnson. Yes. The assistant handed her a folder. There isn't much. Victoria opened it. Then another document slipped out. A copy of an old university transcript. She stared at it. Mechanical engineering. 3 years completed. High academic standing. She looked up. He studied engineering. It appears he withdrew 4 years ago. Why? The assistant quietly answered. His wife became terminally ill. Victoria continued reading. Hospital debts. Emergency leave. Reduced working hours. Eventually. Withdrawal from school. She closed the folder slowly. So he gave up his future to save his family. It appears so. And after losing his wife, he took whatever work he could find. Victoria leaned back in her chair. Find out where he lives. The assistant hesitated. I already did. She handed over another page. Victoria's expression changed immediately. He lives there. The address belonged to one of the city's oldest apartment complexes. The assistant spoke gently. Actually, not anymore. Victoria looked up. What do you mean? The landlord filed an eviction notice. According to our information, Marcus has been sleeping in his car several nights each week. Victoria's eyes widened. What about his daughter? She's been staying with relatives whenever he can't provide a safe place. For several seconds, Victoria couldn't speak. She whispered. And he still came to work. Every shift. He never complained. No. He never asked for help. No. She slowly closed the file. So while people in my executive meetings complain about bonuses, one of my employees has been living in a car. The next morning, Marcus arrived expecting the worst. Instead, another message waited. CEO's office. 9 a.m. His stomach dropped. This is it. His co-workers watched him leave. One whispered. He's finished. Another shook his head. I heard nobody survives a personal meeting with the CEO. Marcus adjusted his worn jacket before knocking softly. Come in. Victoria looked up from her desk. Good morning, Marcus. Good morning, ma'am. Please have a seat. I'd rather stand. She smiled slightly. You're nervous. Yes. Do you know why I asked you here? I assume you're terminating my employment. Victoria blinked. Why would you assume that? Marcus looked down. I'm just preparing myself. She studied him carefully. When you walked into this office the other night. Yes, ma'am. Why didn't you look? He answered immediately. Because my mother raised me better than that. Victoria remained quiet. He continued. And because you deserve privacy. She asked another question. Why didn't you tell anyone? Marcus looked confused again. There wasn't anything to tell. You could have embarrassed me. I don't make money by humiliating people. You could have used the story. It wasn't my story to tell. Victoria slowly stood. Marcus. Yes. Do you know what integrity is? He nodded. It's doing the right thing even when nobody knows. She smiled. And that's exactly what you did. Marcus looked surprised. I don't understand. I watched the security footage. His face turned pale. Oh. I watched it 3 times. I'm sorry again. You don't need to apologize. I invaded your privacy. No. You accidentally opened a door. There's a difference. Marcus didn't know what to say. Victoria walked around the desk. I've also learned something else. His heart began racing again. You have. You studied engineering. His eyes widened. I used to. Why did you stop? My wife died. I'm sorry. So am I. I couldn't afford school anymore. So you became a janitor. I became whatever Zoe needed me to become. Victoria looked directly into his eyes. And if someone gave you another chance? Marcus laughed quietly. People like me don't get second chances. Who told you that? Life. Victoria smiled gently. I disagree. She placed a folder in front of him. I'd like you to read this. Marcus opened it. His eyes scanned the first page. Halfway through, his hands started trembling. No. He looked again. This can't be real. It is. The document offered him a full-time position in the company's maintenance engineering department as a trainee. The company would pay for him to complete his engineering degree. Full tuition. Books. Professional certification. Mentorship. Guaranteed employment upon graduation. Marcus looked as though he had forgotten how to breathe. There must be some mistake. There isn't. I'm only a janitor. No. Victoria said firmly. You're an engineer whose dream was interrupted. Tears filled Marcus's eyes. I don't know what to say. Say yes. He looked at the offer again. Then back at Victoria. Why would you do this for me? She answered without hesitation. Because character is harder to find than talent. She continued. I can teach engineering. I can't teach integrity. Marcus lowered his head as tears rolled down his face. I haven't cried since my wife's funeral. You don't have to hide it. He covered his face. I promised my daughter things would get better. Victoria spoke softly. They just did. Marcus whispered. I don't deserve this. You earned it the moment you chose to do the right thing when you thought nobody was watching. For the first time in years, Marcus believed her. He believed that maybe, just maybe, his life wasn't over. It was finally beginning. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who still believes that honesty and kindness matter. Leave a comment below telling us what you would have done in Marcus's situation, and we'll see you in the next powerful story.